everybody, it's Shayna with Robinson Repurposing, and if you're new here, what I like to do is thrift flips, repurposed furniture, Dollar Tree DIYs, all that kind of stuff on a budget. So if you like that, definitely stick around, subscribe to my channel, and let's go ahead and get into today's video.
All right, hello everybody. So in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how I got this fireplace to look like this. Super cute, so stay tuned.
Okay, so first I took just some random cleaner that my brother had at his house and an old rag, and I just wiped the fireplace down real good. But I would definitely recommend a brick cleaner, and I will link some in the description box. And then I just taped off the little fireplace box thing there, and then we get started. So buttercream is the main color that I use for this. You'll see here in a second. And I do a 50-50 mixture, so I did 50%, or half water, half paint. That's what I did. Okay, so like I said, this is my brother's fireplace, and I am taking the color. They wanted it we wanted it to match they kind of have like a barnwood on their walls, so we wanted it to match that. So I chose to go with buttercream. It's, more of a creamy white color instead of a pure white. So anyway, I watered it down though. I did half water and half paint, and mine ended up being pretty watery. So maybe you'll just have to play with your mixture if you do this to where you get it, but you want it to be pretty watery. As well, as you can see there, like if that was pure paint, it just has to be watered down. If you ever try it, you'll know what I mean. When you go to do it, it just needs to be watered down. So half water, half paint, that's what I did, 50-50. And there I was showing you guys that I'm using a chip brush. I definitely recommend a chip brush for this, or they have masonry brushes that are actually for brick, but this worked perfectly fine for me. And then as you can see there, this is a very messy process. Like my whole arm and my whole everything was covered in paint. So definitely tape the area off, lay rags down, all the things. Okay, and on some of these bricks, I had to do a dabbing motion to get, or I guess these are stones, to get it full coverage. And then this ended up taking me 2 coats of the buttercream paint to get this a full coverage, because this reddish orangey color was kind of hard to cover up. And as you'll see here in this next part here, I just sped up the whole process because I'll just let you watch it, and there's not much to see here other than I did not worry about whether or not the grout was covered. My brother thought he wanted the grout to be he wanted to stay gray. But then in the end here, we just decided to kind of leave it how it was. So some parts are painted, some parts aren't. But if you're going to redo yours, you can definitely be a little more careful, keep the grout gray if you wanted, or paint all the grout white, whatever you want to do. I was planning on going back in with a small brush and painting it gray if I had to at the end. And this process took me about, I'd say 6 to 8 hours in total. I had to come back 3 different times and do it for them. But anyway, it was a little bit tedious. This is the third fireplace I've painted, and this one took the longest. My fireplace is brick, and I painted it, and the second fireplace I painted was also brick, and those two did not take as long as this. This stone really absorbed the paint, so just know you're gonna have to have a good bit of paint and time. And there's a look at it about halfway done. Okay, and then moving on to the hearth part of the fireplace, I took some sandpaper and roughed up those tiles because, for one, I got paint drops on them, but for two, because that was very glossy, and I wanted to just kind of knock off a little bit if I could. And then I took Slick Stick. Dixie Belle's basically like a primer, and it helps the paint stick to basically any surface. So I just took that first and gave it just one coat of that, and then I let it dry, and then I go back in here in a minute with the color I used, which was French Linen by Dixie Belle. Okay, so here's the fireplace. A look at it, all white. And I thought we were gonna leave it like this, but then we decided to go back in and do some gray bricks. So you'll see me here. I took, pause on that for a minute. I go back to the bottom, that was dry, so I painted the hearth. That was the color French linen, like I said. And I gave this a nice good coat, but I didn't worry about getting in the grout lines too much because I knew I was going to go back over the grout lines with white or something. I knew I was going to paint the grout lines with some color. So anyway, that's what I did here, French linen. And that's my baby Winston right there in my carrier. And I promise he was okay during this part. It just looks crazy and his head looks like it's going crazy because I sped this way up. But I promise he was okay, and I really wasn't moving this fast or, you know, moving his head this fast. So don't worry about him. He's perfectly okay. He's actually sitting here with me right now smiling. But anyway, finished the hearth part, got it all gray. That's all there was to that. Okay, and then I took my phone and a picture of the before picture, and I kind of looked at it and just picked out bricks that I wanted to be the absolute like darkest gray color that I was choosing, which the darkest gray I used was called Gravel Road. And I'm gonna have a picture of all these grays that I used, all these paints. I'm gonna like put the picture on here so you can screenshot the picture, and I'm also gonna put that information down in the description box. And then I took the lighter color gray, and at this point I kind of quit looking at the picture for reference. I just kind of did my own thing because the lighter grays got too complicated, or like the lighter colors in the old fireplace got too complicated. Okay, and then what I haven't really mentioned yet about doing the grays on the stones was that instead of like doing a 50-50 mixture in a cup separately, like I just took my paintbrush and got it wet in that cup. That's just water. So every now and then you'll see me like dip my paintbrush in that water, and then I'll dip my paintbrush in my paint. That's the lid. I just had enough in the lid to do this. So anyway, because it doesn't take very much. The gray part did not take very much paint at all. So anyway, like I said, I would just wet my paintbrush and then I would paint the brick. And this part here, I just kind of showed the process of how I would take, like, I got the darker gray, then I would get the lighter gray, and then I would step back and look and, you know, check. And I just kind of figured out which ones I wanted to be dark and which ones I wanted to be light, you know, obvious stuff. So here I am using the lighter gray, and you'll see like I dipped my brush in the water, and then it got like way too saturated, so I just kind of dabbed it off on my rag there and then kept going on the brick because obviously if it gets too watery it just starts dripping everywhere, and I was trying to avoid that mess because I wanted to have the least amount of touch-ups as possible. Okay, and then right here you'll see me a little bit take the white and go back through and kind of touch up like underneath the bricks and in the grout and stuff. And that's what I did basically after I got all the grays where I wanted them. I just went back in with white very lightly into the grout to, you know, just straighten everything up and make it look nice and neat. And then the last step in this whole process, after I got all the touch-ups done on the top, I went down here back onto the bottom of the hearth and filled in the grout lines. As you'll see here, I just took my buttercream paint and filled in the grout. And after I got all the grout filled in, I did go back in with like a little bit of gray paint and touch up the parts where, you know, I didn't, you know, you get out of the lines a little bit. So I touched up those places, and then I just touched up the tile in general. You can see some white specks from where I touched up the top. And anyway, I would recommend sealing this with like a matte polyacrylic or satin polyacrylic. That would work perfectly fine too. And then here's a look at it before. And here's a look at it after. I absolutely love how this turned out. I feel like I'm really proud of it. I feel like it looks really nice. It definitely looks better. Not perfect, but definitely better. And I forgot to mention also that I painted their mantelpiece, their wooden mantelpiece, in the color coffee bean. So I'll also put that down in the description box and everything like that. So you'll have all the information you need to redo this if you want to make a similar look on your fireplace. And if you guys don't already, definitely go follow me on Instagram. I feel like I post way better pictures on there. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope this helps if you have a fireplace to paint. I hope this gives you some tips and inspiration and all the things. Thank you all so much.